How you doing today?
Not bad. How you doing?
All right, just a welcome to everybody's Sideline Perspective, where we cover a little bit of everything from football, basketball, baseball, all the various sports. It's just an opening show where we're going to get everybody situated and figured out what people are looking for in our show. Mostly we're going to cover fantasy football. Sometimes, as Jordan's a baseball fan, I'm a baseball fan, we're going to cover some local softball, a little bit of baseball in the major leagues, maybe some college ball at times. We'll be looking at NCAA hoops. We'll be looking at the various things from the football that's taking place just as news, nothing to do with fantasy, and then also basketball, which right now it may seem summer, and all we have is free agent tradies and Team USA, but I think we can have some good conversations about that. Fiction, this one pertains to the recent Olympic events. Team USA basketball brings home the gold.
Boy, I'm all for rooting for them, but I'm gonna go with fiction on this one because they have too flashy of players. They need to come together as a team, not individuals. They're trying to be. I mean, they can obviously dunk, but now they need to be worried about scoring the points and playing defense on teams. So, I hope for their sake they do, because they've already called out a gold. Carmelo Anthony may be biting off a little more than he can chew. So I hope they bring home a gold, but I'm going to go with fiction.
Team USA brings home the gold. Definitely a fiction. First of all, losing to Italy shows you right there, because Italy is not a world powerhouse by any means. Matter of fact, they barely qualified to even get to the championships of the Olympics. So I'm going to have to go with bronze at best. I would say they're not even going to be in the championship game to get the silver, actually. So I'm going to go with bronze at best. Prediction: the Yankees will win the World Series.
I'm going to say fact. There's a lot of teams out there that have the potential to beat them, but I just don't think they can clutch up like the Yankees can. They have such an all-star lineup that they have the experience and the know-how to get the job done. So, yeah, they got beat by the Marlins last year, but I think that's just giving them an extra reason to push that much harder this year. So, I say fact.
Fine. I've thought about that one for probably the past week. Hitting-wise, with Sheffield, Matsui, Jeter, A-Rod, basically all of them, they can hit. They're going to score a lot of runs, but as the Diamondbacks showed and the Marlins showed, they can be beat by good pitching. So if Kerry Woods and the Cubs make it, or if Oakland makes it, I could possibly see it coming down to a Game 7, and the Yankees haven't been well in Game 7s lately. Randy Johnson will be pitching in October.
I say fact. He's going to be pitching, but for who's the real question, so it's just a matter of where he gets picked up. If the team basically decides that another team is copping a good enough deal to basically let him go. If not, they just seem to want to hold on to him no matter what his attitude is. So I hope it doesn't spoil him on the game, really. So I'm going to say it's a fact he's pitching, but for who is yet to be seen.
Go fiction. I don't think Randy Johnson can clear waivers. I think that they Diamondbacks put him on waivers to get rid of that contract. I think it's $21 million this year. I don't know the stat exactly. That some team will pick him up. They'll be willing to pay that just to get Randy Johnson every day.
Oh yeah.
And it'll probably be the Angels, possibly the Dodgers, maybe even a few other teams that just don't mind spending the money to have the chance to have Randy Johnson for a World Series. Fact or fiction? Patriots will break the Dolphins' 17-0 record.
Well, the way the Patriots are looking right now, I think that's a possibility, because they're just such a well-rounded team that I can't quite see the problem with them to where they would have a losing streak. I think they're going to be just like the last year, and probably on the verge of pushing the dynasty as far as football. So I'll say a fact on that one.
Based on what I know about the Ricky Williams situation, and the fact that in order to beat the Patriots, in order to beat the Dolphins' record, the Patriots have to win in Miami week 4 to break it. I think they're going to do it, and I think they're going to really think that the Dolphins franchise is like the Red Sox and curse. The Miami Heat will make the NBA Finals.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say fact. I think Shaq has just came back. He's gonna come back with such an intensity that nobody's gonna stop him. He's gonna have a hard time in the finals, but he's gonna be a lot healthier. He's gonna be more rested. He's not gonna have such a hard schedule to wear him down like he has before in the West Coast playing for the Lakers. So he's gonna be able to take it easy during the season. Basically just rest himself and maybe come home with another MVP award.
The Miami Heat will make the NBA Finals. Out of respect for the Detroit Pistons, I'm going to say no. I think the Pistons, probably even the Pacers, maybe even one team after that. I don't know exactly which one, maybe, but the Heat could be a 4 seed. Granted, they may have home field in the first round, but home court in the first round actually. But I could literally see them losing in the first or second round easy. Jim Thome will win the NL home run crown.
I'm gonna say fact. I would like to see Thome because he's got the potential to go on a 6-game tear where he's hitting home runs left and right. So he's just such a smooth hitter for home runs that I think he's gonna get the chance to win the crown.
Well, right now he's up big time, which gives him the early advantage. And unless there's Sosa or Bonds goes off on one of their streaks, I'll have to go with Thome. My reasoning is this. Tome's a home run hitter. He's not a great hitter. He's just a home run hitter. So if he bats .250 in a month but hits 20 home runs, it's a good month for him. Other guys, if they're batting .250, they may be out of the lineup. So it's a whole different story. A-Rod, fact or fiction, will win the AL home run crown.
As long as A-Rod is playing his game, he can win the AL home run crown. He's had a few bumps in the road. The suspension recently, that's going to throw him off for, 4 games? And so he's a little out of his element right now, but I think he'll get back on a tear and come up with another 40 home run season easily.
It's probably a fact, but I'm going to say fiction because I think Paul Konerko for the White Sox is going to come out, maybe hit 6-7 home runs in about a 10-12 game span to finish out the season when it doesn't matter and the White Sox are literally playing exhibition games at the end. Terrell Owens will get to the Eagles to the Super Bowl.
I'm going to say fiction on that one. They're going to do good, but they lost so many other players in replace of him that I think they may have gained in one aspect, but they lost in others. So they did acquire Javon Curse too. That's going to be you can't go wrong with the freak right there. But I just don't think they're going to have enough to keep pushing over that final hump that they need to. So I have to say fiction.
I'm going to say fiction. The NFC East is probably the toughest division this year. I'm going to have to say right now that getting past the Redskins, the Giants shouldn't be a problem, but the Redskins and Dallas Cowboys will be difficult. So when we look at that, I'm going to have to say they may win the division, but the tough road to do that will make it so they're primed for an upset in the first or second round of the playoffs. I can see much like how the Bucs went up and beat them at Veterans Stadium a couple years ago, that happening again with another team.
All right.
The Atlanta Falcons will make the playoffs.
I'm going to go with fact as long as Michael Vick doesn't get hurt. Right at the moment, he's just coming off his injury last season, so he seems to be 100% or close to it. He tore up the last few games he played in last year, so I think he's going to be on a tear this year and be able to set him off with such a good lead that he may be able to less up and still make the playoffs.
A fiction. I love Michael Vick. I really do believe he's the best athlete in the NFL, and eventually he's going to probably be the best quarterback in the NFL. Right now, he's coming off an injury. He came back with a lot of intensity those last few games, but now the grind of a season is going to go on him. We'll see how he does the last 6 games of the season. And with the new coaching staff, everything, there's so much turnover, it's nearly impossible to expect him to rise to the expectations every game. I'm going to say they're 9-7, but don't make the playoffs. Which of the following off-season acquisitions do you foresee having the greatest fantasy impact, and why? The choices being Terrell Owens, Keyshawn Johnson, who went to the Cowboys, Garrison Hurst, who went to the Broncos, Justin McCarrans, who went to the Jets, Jeff Garcia, who went to the Browns, Clinton Portis, who went to the Redskins, Deuce Staley, who went to the Steelers, David Boston went to the Dolphins, Joey Galloway, who went to the Buccaneers, Charlie Garner, who went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Mark Brunell, who went to the Washington Redskins. If you have any others, you can throw them in, but out of those choices, who would you say is going to make the biggest impact on their team?
Well, as far as right now, I know the people who I'm going to keep my eye on is obviously Terrell Owens, because I just want to see if everybody, if he's going to be as good as he says he is, which I hope he has a good season. I think he's got the tools to do it. The other one is going to be Clinton Portis, who went to the Redskins. I'm going to be interested to see just basically how Joe Gibbs handles that. Just in general, handles the whole team. So, but those two are going to be the ones that I keep my eye on this year as far as them taking over a team that they just arrived in.
I'm going to have to bring out the Broncos bias. Usually, I would say Clinton Portis, but my opinion is that Portis truly, the last 2 years, has gotten the stats he's gotten because of the system and the blocking. When he's on the Redskins, he's going to struggle. He's going to take a lot more hits. He may fumble a few more times, and he's simply not going to have the holes that he had before, and he's going to be downhill running like he was for the Broncos. My only reason that I didn't take him was simply because he's going to have to be a workhorse, and I don't know if he's capable of carrying 400 times for one team without good offensive line protection. So, in order to take a guy I really thought would impact it, I'm going to have to go with Deuce Staley. And I think that Bill Cowher with the Steelers, Deuce Staley's the guy he's been wanting. He wants a workhorse that'll run it, they can catch it, they can do everything, and then have Jerome Bettis come in and bruise him when you need him. You limit Bettis to 10 carries, he's going to score some touchdowns in the goal line for you. And Staley will get a lot of yards, a lot of catches. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the field 80% of the plays.
And actually, you did remind me now, the guys that I think who have the best chance is obviously the Cowboys system. With Eddie George all of a sudden signing, Quincy Carter did something, got released. I'm not sure what the statistics are. I heard it was illegal substance abuse again. But now Vinny Testaverde's hopping into his line.
That is true.
Right there, you have two positions that are filled with great veterans, really. And with the Tuna coaching them, man.
That is true. I got to give you that.
You have Keyshawn Johnson all of a sudden. They're going to be a hungry team, and I think Dallas is going to.
So you give them a legitimate chance to go back to the playoffs?
I give them a big legitimate chance. To
Wow.
be honest with you,
I'd say a lot of people would say last year was a fluke.
I don't think so.
I believe in the Tuna.
Yeah, I think you can't argue with Parcells. He's played with 2 out of those 3 new acquires. He's played with Testaverde with the Jets, had Keyshawn with the Jets, and what was the other one again? Anyways, they all just have good things to say about each other. They're a well-organized team, and obviously Parcells isn't putting up with shit. He never has. He probably never will. So, because Quincy Carter, all I heard in the last interviews I've seen him with, it's his team. He wants to prove how he's going to be their leader. Well, he's going to be leading someone else. He might be leading them to the unemployment line, really.
He may be leading the unemployment line, correct.
So,
how many people in the NFL you think use illegal drugs?
oh,
Whether it be Michael Irvin, cocaine,
I'd
whether
say
it be
well over.
Ricky L. Williams smoking weed, Lyle Zato shooting rifles. Out of the NFL, looking at it as a percentage, what would you say?
Man, I would say at a low percent, that 50%. I would give him half at least.
You're saying minimum half the league is on an illegal substance.
Is on some sort of illegal drug.
That is
whether steroids, as far as you said, cocaine, weed, bud, whatever.
Now, but let's compare this. Out of the 3 sports Which one, basketball, football,
Basketball.
baseball, has the worst weed problem?
Basketball.
How about the worst steroid problem?
I'd give that a toss-up between baseball and football.
Okay, so
I
you
still
believe
think football is higher just because it's more of a physical. I mean, it's kind of tough to. It's going to be separated, but with football, it's collision. You're running into people.
you have to be big.
Yeah, with baseball, it's all a lot of grace and coordination. So, I see football. I mean, obviously, people in football are using. Obviously, people in baseball are using. Both sports have admitted to it. But I don't think it's quite as extreme in baseball as it is in football.
Quarterback in your mind
Of the fantasy poll is Michael
of
Vick.
anyone in the NFL?
Michael Vick.
Michael Vick.
Michael Vick is it's disappointing that we didn't get to see him last year because he hurt himself, obviously, and there was a lot of controversy about whether or not they should play the preseason games. I don't see a problem with preseason games because it's a good warm up to be out there and running around, actually getting the physical contact because practice can only do so much. But
So you're fine with the 4 preseason games in the season?
I don't see a problem with it. I mean, it's unfortunate, like I said, that they get hurt in them, but they could just as easily get hurt in the regular season games. So it's nothing new to them. It's a chance they take in every day they go to practice, basically.
Now, unlike Jordan, I was close to going my number 1 overall pick as a quarterback. But for my quarterback, I'm going to actually choose Dante Culpepper this year. My reasoning being, he may not be the best runner in the NFL, probably a little bit behind Vick, McNair, possibly McNabb. But I do feel that he scores about 6 or 7 touchdowns a year. He's a complex quarterback to stop because he has so many weapons on his team. And with Randy Moss and the signing this year of the receiver from Baltimore, I can't really remember his name, Marcus Robinson, I think. And with those two to complement throwing the ball in the air, he should throw at least 25 to 30 touchdowns, and he may run for as many as 10. Overall, I would say Culpepper is the best athlete behind McNabb and Vick, but I'm going to say he's a better thrower because he has Moss and Robinson. Where you look at McNabb, you look at Vick, Terrell Owens may be the man, but once again, I don't think McNabb's got the throwing arm to get it to him. I really don't believe McNabb is a passer. And I don't look at Vick in the West Coast offense as being as dangerous as he was last year. It's actually going to inhibit him, so I'm looking at it that way. In our fantasy poll, the first place votes out of 37 votes that came back, 16 went to Peyton Manning, 8 went to Steve McNair. You guys remember they were co-MVPs last year, so that makes sense to have them 1 and 2. Number 3 was Vick with 7. And I think that's based on potential, since last year he really didn't get to play much.
Yeah.
Behind him was Culpepper with 4, and then McNabb and Hasselbeck rounded out with 1 apiece. Now, a lot of people don't know about Matt Hasselbeck for the Seahawks. Dangerous weapon. I think he had over 30 touchdowns last year. I just have a question. With a guy like McNabb, a guy like Vick, a guy like Culpepper, you have the chance to score some touchdowns running. Would you take a guy like Peyton Manning or Matt Hasselbeck, even someone like Mark Bolger, or would you take a running quarterback that gives you a chance to score on the field of the ground?
I'd actually take the passing quarterbacks, Matt Hasselbeck, all of those guys, because that's what it is. You have other players to do your running for you. I mean, it's cool to have a scrambling quarterback. I mean, you definitely have to have somebody who's mobile back there. But all in all, your running back, your wide receivers, they're the ones who need to get you those main yards.
From running backs, I think you have the list of all the choices in front of you. When we look at them, running backs are primarily in fantasy football one of your main scorers. They catch the ball, they get yards rushing, they get yards receiving, they get touchdowns both rushing and receiving. So primarily they're your main scorers. Every once in a while a quarterback scores over them, but on the average, a percentage of your carries and catches go to your running back as a main option. As your choice for running back, who is it and why?
Well, the one I was keeping my eye on last year was Sean Alexander for the Seahawks. I just really like the way he ran. He wasn't, super flashy. He put up good numbers, decent at least, but I think he's going to have one of those breakthrough years that everybody keeps talking about. Like the Jamal Lewis's, everybody was hyped up on him because he had that career rushing game on, what was it, 399 or something
I can't remember exactly, 275 I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure right off the hand, but I think he's going to have a lot of games like that that's going to elevate him to where he is now. Because he's solid now, and he's just going to only be able to get better.
Okay. I actually made my choice of Daniel Thompson. A lot of people don't know about LaDainian because he's on the Chargers, and basically it's like being stuck with the Arizona Cardinals. Every year, you can be a great receiver, a great player, but it's just not a standout place to be playing. The reason I went with him is because he had 100 catches last year. And to me, for a running back, if you can put up 100 catches and give you 10 touchdowns, that's just an astronomical season. That's most receiver seasons. On top of it, he's a good running back. He's a workhorse. He has Marty Schottenheimer who likes to run the ball. We all know Schottenheimer's days at Cleveland and the different teams he's carried to playoffs. He runs the ball a lot. He's primarily a run ball offense. Now, the popular pick here, out of 37 responses, 28 went to Priest Holmes. And I'll admit, it's hard to go against Priest. I just personally feel that he's not the type of back that you can count on. I feel like his year where he got hurt a couple years ago wasn't an apparition. It's something that may be consistent and happen to him.
Yeah.
Second was LaDainian Thompson, 5. Clinton Portis, sorry about that, who just got traded to the Washington Redskins, 2. I feel Portis was a product of the Denver system. He'll get some stats in Washington. He'll probably put up 1,500 and maybe 12 or 13 touchdowns. But he's definitely going to have to get used to having his yards per carry be more around 4 than the 5 he's used to. Yeah. After that was Ahman Green and Derek and what is his name? Deuce McAllister. Sorry for the Saints. He got 1. Behind that was Sean Alexander, Jordan mentioned, Jamal Lewis, Ricky Williams. We all know Ricky retired, so as a fantasy pick, he messed up everything. Bottom line, you're losing a starting running back right there. He may not be a number 1 guy, but he's a definite number 2 at the worst.
Oh yeah.
After that, you have Marshall Faulk, who's on the downside of his career. We don't know what he's got left, and honestly, with the backs they've got in the stables, I could envision Faulk having a career low of 4 carries.
Good.
The final guy was Fred Taylor. He did get a few votes. No first places, but he did get a few votes to actually put him in there. And that's based on the last 2 years, him staying healthy when he was actually hurt before. Moving on to wide receivers. Looking over him, Jordan, I'm sure, is going to have to go with his unanimous choice. And I'm going to be curious to see who that is.
He didn't have the greatest year, but I'm still going for Jared Rice. What can you say about the guy? He owns every wide receiver record. I mean, he's getting older, but, he's maybe lost a step and a half at the most. And he's still putting up numbers when he gets the ball. He's got the knowledge out there. I would never have anybody else out there running my routes. I mean, there's good ones. A lot of people are thinking Terrell Owens is the best thing to come out, since sliced bread, but I'm not.
Sliced bread.
I mean, I've seen it. He gets hurt like everybody else. Last year he broke his collar. What was he doing the last end of the season? So, I mean, it's just going to be interesting. But I go with Jerry Rice because I like the veteran.
Go with consistent and solid Marvin Harrison. My reasoning's pretty simple. I think Randy Moss is probably going to statistically have the best year. But there's a chance with Moss he's going to get hurt. There's a chance with Moss he's going to get in trouble. There's a chance with Moss that he's going to have an attitude and pull a Terrell Owens. My thing is, Harrison's reliable. He's getting his stats. Bottom line, he's getting his 1,000 yards. He's getting his 10 touchdowns. He's probably getting at least 85, 90 receptions. So I look at it as Harrison's always going to get his. He rarely gets hurt. He goes down with the plays. And he's got Peyton Manning, and in the fourth quarter, it is Harrison's game. Yeah. A lot of receivers like Moss, they are shut down in the fourth quarter. They're scoring a lot of their touchdowns in the first half, but really late in the game, they're not getting the ball to him. It's more or less a running team with the Vikings. Now for the Fantasy results, out of the 37 responses, only 3 players got first place votes for wide receiver. Randy Moss, who got 13, Marvin Harrison, who got 13, and Terrell Owens, who got 11. A lot of guys that got a lot of second and third votes were Torrey Holt, Hines Ward, Charles Johnson, Rookie of the Year last year, Anquan Baldwin for the Cardinals, Santana Moss for the Jets, Derek Mason for the Titans, and Lavernius Coles for the Redskins.
Actually, I got a couple tight ends that I think about. I always like Shockey because he's just kind of he's one that you can tell he likes playing the game. I mean, he's always going to get you some points. He's a tough SOB basically.
So you do agree with the opinion he's a passionate player at least?
Oh yeah. I mean, if he wasn't a passionate player, then he'd be failing all the drug tests and getting in trouble and doing all the drinking scene and the DUIs. I've seen numerous players already with DUIs pleading out of tickets going, I'm an NFL player.
That's true.
But
I've heard a lot about Shockey drinking, but I have not heard of him being busted.
Yeah, I mean, he drinks, and he even mentioned in ESPN magazine he was up at 4 doing push-ups half drunk, I mean, right there, if you're out drinking, you're not going to sleep until at least 2. And if you wake up at 4 and you're doing push-ups, I mean,
true. And then again, if you're doing push-ups at 4, it's a lot better than still being at the club at 4 a.m.
Exactly. I mean, you obviously have some passion for your sport if you're going to go through that. But, so, I mean, I'm going to watch him this year. He was my number 1 pick. The guy who keeps stepping up, though, is Tony Gonzalez. The guy is just unstoppable. I mean, he's not even flashy, he puts up solid numbers every year, basically. He's just always been one of the consistent guys you talk about.
I'm gonna go with you on that one, and I'm gonna have to agree with the majority of the people that took the poll. Out of 37, 29 voted for Tony Gonzalez. My thing is, I like Gonzalez, and I think he's the best tight end in the National Football League. But for some reason, and I don't know why, I think this is Jeremy Shockey's year. I'm going to pick Shockey over him just because I think that Kurt Warner, whether he's plays 5 games or the whole season, is going to look for Shockey. And I think that Eli Manning, to save himself maybe 2 or 3 yards on those outs, he's going to do a lot of dumping over the middle of Shockey, who he knows can bust one for him. Make his stats look a lot better. The other guy that got some votes was Todd Heap. A lot of people forget about him. Great athlete. Unfortunately, he plays for the Ravens, probably the worst passing offense in the league. We all have to know, though, that there's going to be a little different tight end fold because Shannon Sharp. Once again, another retirement, much like Ricky Williams, only completely different circumstances, that have affected how the game is played in Denver. The tight end used to be one of the main options, much like the Redskins used him as an H-back. But now, I don't know. I don't see Byron Chamberlain putting up huge stats. I see him filling the role. But Shannon Sharp was one of those guys that could get 3 or 4 touchdowns in a game for you. It can be the kickers. And with our league, basically, your kicker can be invaluable. You have kickers that go by distance, Janikowski's. Those kickers score big points in games. Then there's the kickers that score in offenses that just kick a lot of field goals and extra points. Those guys are always handy because they can give you an extra 12, 15 points in the season every week. Now, looking at the kickers and looking over, it's kind of a crapshoot, and kickers aren't a high draft pick, but they do make or break you when it comes right down to it. Just like in the NFL. Who's your fantasy kicker pick? Kicker pick.
I went with Mike Vanderjagt. The next one I was looking at is I think he's going to be a hot one. Just being a go-to guy is going to be David Akers.
Akers for the Eagles.
Yeah, Akers he's a reliable kicker. I haven't heard of him missing a whole lot. I mean,
good lefty too.
Yeah, he didn't have a super huge season, But I went with Mike Vanderjagt just because, he never missed. I mean, what can you say about a guy who goes perfect season basically?
Yep.
I mean,
and I'd agree with you on the Vanderjagt choice. I went with Vanderjagt simply because he's getting so many opportunities with the Colts.
Yeah.
If they get stopped, he's kicking field goals. If they don't get stopped, he's kicking extra points. And half the time they're scoring. And if they're not scoring, he's definitely kicking easy field goals he can make. That would explain part of the reason he's 37-37.
Yeah.
I mean, he only had 13 field goals last year for 40 yards, which as many as Colts took into the red zone, that doesn't surprise me. You know. As our poll went, Vanderjagt was 19 out of 37. Wilkins got 7. Elam got 4. Akers got 4. And Matt Stover for the Ravens also got 3. The last 2 were John Casey, Adam Vinatieri, and Sebastian Janikowski. And then we'll look at defenses. And I'm going to say right now off the bat, defenses once again are one of those things that every year we think a defense will be good, and they just disappoint. Last year was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
They were supposedly the number 1 defense in the NFL the year before. Now they're getting killed last year. And no offense, but they really disappointed a lot of teams. They let me down. I know I drafted them, I think in the maybe 9th or 10th round. So who's your pick, Short? And explain why.
You know, I went with I think I went with, it was either Baltimore or New England, either one of them. You can't argue. I mean, you can argue either one of them being better than the other, but I like the Ravens with, I mean, you know, Ray Lewis. You have all those guys with just such high intensity. You know they want to hurt people half the time, so they're going to go after that ball no matter where it is. And the Patriots are just such a sound team anymore that it's like you just got to find that one chink in their armor that they have, and I'm not sure if anybody's found it yet, but they're right on their game. They could be, like they're saying, the next dynasty in football, you know. It's just hard to pick them apart. Not many people really know where they're going so far. It's going to be interesting to see how they do this year, but so far everybody's got something to prove.
My choice this year was going to be the Baltimore Ravens. My reasoning is they have a Rookie of the Year on the defensive line with Lee Suggs. Plays outside linebacker also. He's kind of the poor man's version of LT, rushing the passer. Ray Lewis, of course. No offense, but the guy's the scariest man in the NFL. He's the Mike Tyson of football. When you move on and go back,
best thing to say right now.
right now, we'll get to Tyson later, ladies and gentlemen. And then you look at Ed Reed at safety and McAllister playing the corner. I just see him as a shutdown team. They could get as many as 4 shutouts this year based on what I see on their schedule. Now in our fantasy poll, once again, strange results. I think Tampa Bay ended up with 9 votes. Carolina with 8. Philadelphia got 6. Dallas got 6. Number 1 defense statistically in the NFL last year. Miami got 3. Tennessee got 3. Baltimore got 2. And rounding out were New England, Seattle, and Denver. I was surprised to see New England so low. Personally, I thought they were top 3 or 4 defense in the league. They were well ranked in the AFC, I think 1 or 2 in every statistical category. I was also disappointed to see Denver so low. Thought they were pretty good. They had 1 bad game in the playoffs against the Colts. Biggest game of the year to let down, but I think they'll be better this year with Champ Bailey. Philadelphia didn't surprise me. Carolina didn't surprise me. I was surprised after the loss of a few players and the fact that John Lynch and Warren Sapp are gone for Tampa. They still got 9 votes.
Yeah.
To me, that's high. When you lose that many veterans, you gotta expect rookies to make a few more mistakes.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. I didn't see anyone in their draft choices that really seemed like they were gonna control the positions they were coming into.
Oh! On cue! Did you say 2 or not 2?
Yeah,
oh, he
did.
slipped.
Yeah.
I got him. Get out of the way, fire lady. Attaboy, T. Go get that shit, dog.
Good job.
Look at that. Yeah. Nice. Right up to me. Right up to me. Yeah, big dog. All right, here you go, bud. What next? Jesus.
But it ain't no.
That, now you're recording on it.
Dude, I'm just saying that pizza was the best pizza.
Who sings this?
Nelly and Murphy Lee and P. Diddy.
Yeah.
Always see me on the phone. Say
On the count of three, make some noise. On the count of three, make some noise. On the count of three, make some noise. 1, 2, 3, come on!